Hello there, welcome back. This is lesson 3 in our unit 3B bonding. Today's lesson is called Naming Molecular Compounds. So in the last video, we talked about how to draw simple dot diagrams of covalent compounds. And today we're going to name more complex ones. So let's get started. Now, naming molecular compounds is pretty simple. You really only need to know two things. One, elements' names, and that's, if you ever forget what an element's name is, it's always on table S in your reference table. And then the Greek prefixes. So, the Greek prefixes are these. And some of these you kind of already know. Mono is 1, di is 2, tri is 3, tetra is 4, penta is 5, hexa is 6, hepta, octa, nona, and deca. So if you see any one of those prefixes, that's referring to that number. Okay, so here is a compound. What is it? If you said water, you're correct, but you're also wrong. H2O is dihydrogen monoxide. So if we're going to give it its proper chemical name, it is dihydrogen monoxide. So here's where those Greek prefixes come in. Di is 2, so you have 2 hydrogens. Mono is 1, and you have 1 oxygen. So the name kind of acts like a map or directions as to how to write your formula. So let's go into this actually. So if we're going to name a molecular compound, so if we give you a formula but not a name, for the first element, you need the Greek prefix and the element name the way it is. For the second element, Greek prefix and the element name with the IDE ending. So that's something we talked about when we started ionic bonds, and that is still a thing. Now, one of the important things, if there's only one of the first element, don't put mono. So if we're going to look at this one, we have P2O5. So for the first element, we have 2, so that's di. And then we have P, which is phosphorus. And then, second element, we have 5. And remember, 5 is penta. So, pent. And then we get a different color. O, oxide. So you get diphosphorus pentoxide. Just like that. With the next one, we have 1 carbon. But because it's the first element, we don't put mono. We just write carbon. And then we have 2 oxygens, so di, and then with the oxygen itself, you write oxide, carbon dioxide. So even before this, you guys knew CO2 was carbon dioxide, and so that's a good way to remember that the first element, if there is only one of them, does not have a prefix. Okay, so go ahead and try this one. So here we have sulfur, and there's only one of them. So go sulfur. Then you have 3, so that's tri, and then different color. O is oxide. So you get sulfur trioxide. That's it. Okay, the next one, N2O4. Go ahead and try that one. So here you have 2, so di. N, we know, is nitrogen, and that first letter, we use the name as is. And then we have 4, so that's tetra. And we're going to drop the A because we're using an O, and we'll get into that in more detail. O is oxide, so you get dinitrogen tetroxide. And again, that's it. So now we're going to go the opposite way. If you have a name and no formula, what do you have to do? Again, the name is instructions. It's a map to how to build the compound. So we're going to work the same way. So we have tetra, and we have phosphorus. So phosphorus is P, tetra is 4, and then we have sulfide, so sulfur, and hexa is 6. So you get P4S6, and that's it. So the next one, we have nitrogen trichloride. So nitrogen is just N, and because there's no prefix, we know that's a 1. But remember, those 1s are invisible, so we don't need them. Chloride, we're talking about Cl, and tri means 3. So you get NCl3. So go ahead and try this one, dibromine heptoxide. So bromine is Br. Di means you have 2 of those. Then remember, oxide, we're talking about O, and hept means 7. So it's Br2O7. Okay, again, the next one is carbon dioxide. So go ahead and try this one. So carbon is C, and because there is no prefix, it's just carbon. And then oxide is O, and then because there is mono, it's 1 oxygen. But again, we don't write those 1s, and you're done with CO. That's it. So naming molecular compounds again is pretty simple. We are going to practice this more in class, and just so you're aware of where we're heading, the next video will cover polyatomic ions, what they are, how they're formed, how to name them, how to write formulas. So until then, bye.